What's up, guys? It's the Iron Skillet. We're back with another Side Dish Sunday. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the unprecedented times that we're going through right now and some of the leaders that are really showing up and making some real quick changes and pivoting.
And those that aren't.
And those that aren't, yeah, we'll also kind of talk about that. But I got this idea because there's a fitness guy that I follow, Corey Gregory. He also owns a supplement company. He was saying people during this time are going to adapt or they're going to die. And he was kind of expressing the importance of not getting so caught up in feeling bad about yourself or feeling upset about the situation because you can't control it. Mm-hmm. He was like, you just have to focus on making the changes that are necessary, fixing the immediate problems that are in front of you and moving forward. And he's like, the people that don't do that and that kind of sulk in this, anxiety and just kind of focus on the negative are not probably going to make it out of this very well at all.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that can also be interpreted as for businesses even.
Oh yeah. He was talking about business.
Oh, he was talking about how they handle this whole situation and how we go on moving forward.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of innovation is going to come from this.
I 100% agree. And I think that your mindset, I think that this is going to really, really show who true leaders are, true leadership. Mm-hmm. Because, he has a supplement company and he owns a gym, right? And it'd be so easy for him to be really mad and upset because his gym's going to be shut down for 2 months. Mm-hmm. But he just doubled down on social and he went on Twitter and was like, if you're at home and you don't know what to do, DM me with what equipment you have and I'll send you a program for what you could do. And he has all of these dumbbell and body weight programs and he's just going on live all the time and just doubling down on his community and using social media. And I'm sure there's a lot of other fitness professionals that don't have that mindset that are just sitting at their house with anxiety and kind of freaking out and not really, that paralyzes you. That fear paralyzes you and it makes you not able to make decisions to see a way through it.
Us creatives, we use this time to catch up on all the things we've wanted to do.
For sure.
Just been behind on it.
Which it feels, great to be able to create and get ahead and feel like you can breathe a little bit, but the people that are capitalizing on this, you can already see the gains. Like Tory Lanez, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. I just saw that he got offered, MTV just offered him a hosting position to host his own show on MTV when all of this is done because of how poppin' his quarantine radio is.
Wow.
And
that's big.
Yeah, and that just came from him deciding to have fun and go on live instead of, be negative and be upset about it.
You talk about the Tory Lanez point. I think the same thing or something similar will happen with the whole Versus. The Swiss Beats and Timbaland, putting together these, beat battles. And actually tonight they had 3 6 Mafia against Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Oh, geez, that's crazy.
So Crazy Bone was going to be on live representing Bone Thugs, and DJ Paul was going to be on, and they just go back and forth playing their hits. But like we said before, it's like an experience. Same with the Tory Lanez thing. It's cool. You see the highlights on YouTube, but if you were actually on IG Live when it was happening, you were like, "Oh, what?
It's wild."
Whatever.
No, for sure. Mm-hmm. I think that I was kind of talking before we got on and I had to stop myself, but our economy in the past 10 years has been very, very it's been flourishing in a way that's kind of historical. We haven't held a high for this long ever in history when it comes to the stock market. And I think that when all of this actually starts to impact businesses, because right now the stock market still hasn't felt the impact of what's happening. The businesses that aren't built well, that are really not, they don't have cash, free cash flow, and they don't have a solid strategy. They're just kind of riding this wave of how plentiful our economy has been, are going to have a really tough time getting out of this and moving forward. And I think that has a lot to say too for just people that are content creators that aren't really adding a lot of value, that are just kind of like on YouTube putting out like BS information and selling courses and stuff like that. Like, people are not gonna be trying to spend money on stuff like that unless it's really like proven to be of value.
Well, even the big names that do offer courses on their products and stuff have dropped their prices substantially during this quarantine to up the sales.
For sure.
I mean, I've seen some, couple $100 courses were going for like $50.
Definitely. 100%.
Adapt or die.
Yeah, you definitely have to. And like, I love what Brandon says, how so much innovation is going to come out of this. Like, I've really tried to take this time to sit and realize like this is a moment in history. Like, when we talk about World War II, when we talk about like 9/11, like, this is a moment in time that we may never experience again in our lifetime. Our kids might not ever experience anything like this. So I try to also just be like aware that this is something that we're never probably going to go through ever again.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And, knock on wood, but to see the leadership and innovation that's going to come out of this, because I feel like every tough time that we've had in history is brought, like, those true like had to come forward to be able to pull us out of it, and eventually it put us in a much better situation, like,
Right.
moving forward. So,
Like you said, this is a time in history that, we haven't had to experience, and I don't think they've had a epidemic or pandemic like this in 100 years, like 1918.
Something like
the
that.
Spanish flu, I think, or something.
Was
But-
H1N1 a pin or
it wasn't
Well,
this. Yeah,
it was an epidemic.
Yeah,
Pandemic is like the next level.
right?
yeah,
But with these times comes a lot of knowledge. Like we're asking questions we didn't ask before. Like, do I need to wear a mask walking outside? Or, you know what I mean? There's things that this pandemic is bringing to light that haven't looked at as a society before.
for sure.
And a lot of innovation too. I mean, we can't go to concerts now, so Fortnite just threw a Travis Scott concert in the game.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be interesting seeing the innovation come from
For sure.
this. And companies have to adapt or die. Walmart's and grocery stores, they got the spit screen up now, or the glass, and they have to do that to adapt to the times that we're in to stay open.
I think a lot of these older companies that were clinging on to that retail presence and they didn't develop a direct-to-consumer base in their company this could be lights out. Like JCPenney's, like Macy's, those types of companies
They
that
still
just
sending that book out, that catalog.
exactly, like, you never pivoted, you never, you didn't innovate, and now this could be like the final straw. So I just think that's really interesting to kind of like think about and to ponder. But like, I know I try to as we're going through all of this, even with my job, like, I try to take these thoughts on a big scale and break it down to, like, what does that mean for me? And, like, right now, like, my job, I usually work with people. I'm usually, like, never at my house. I'm working with athletes every day, one-on-one. That's 90% of what I do. And then 10% is, like, paperwork and being on the computer. That's completely been flipped, and I absolutely hate it. Like, it's really messes with my, like, mental state. Like, it's absolutely not what I want to do, but I know for a fact if I'm a leader of my team, like, I'm a head of a department, if I bring that energy to my team, it's just going to freaking send us into a tailspin of a horrible situation. We won't get anything done, and it's going to be a really bad time until we can get back in front of each other. So, like, I literally have to take the 5 minutes before I get on Zoom calls and, like, play some music and, like, hype myself up and, like, get my shit together so that when I get on the call, I'm not like, hey guys, how's it going?
Definitely.
We got to do this. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to be doing that, and you definitely don't want to be doing it with somebody that
Right.
doesn't care, you know? So those are definitely things that I'm trying to, like, be aware of and bring to the table during this period.
feel like this is going to bring a lot of changes to, I don't know what changes, but I feel like, things could be different in the school settings, and then just, a lot of the public, I don't even know what to call it, like gatherings, or you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like on campus, there's a lot of kids on there at one time, or, concerts, there's a lot of people at one time. Like, are we going to excuse group F before we excuse the rest of, you know what I mean? Just certain
for sure.
things are going to be different.
I think it's going to accelerate. When we talk about education, I think it's going to highly accelerate a swift change in our educational system because to be honest, the way that it's set up right now doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, everything is you can get, in some cases, in some areas, better education like online from a course than you can from spending 12 weeks in a classroom. You know what I mean? And I think that is going to be very clear. You know what I mean? Like, in this time.
And like you said, Zoom and video chatting now, and
I think somebody that was considering paying $100,000 to go to film school, or $100,000 to go be an audio engineer, if they take the 6 months and they get on Skillshare and they perfect their craft and they're making money doing what they were going to go to school for,
without student loans,
they're probably not going to go, you know? So, and then like we talked about this, like healthcare and all of that, those types of education like fields are going to be fine because you have to have that to practice. But I think that the way that we educate people is going to have to change.
like more remotely. I could definitely see that.
I could see like food service completely changing, like sticking to like smaller dining areas, like actually changing to smaller dining areas and doing more takeout than dine in stuff.
For sure.
Makes sense.
I think it's going to, the crazy part, and I hate to say this because it's like, it's not what I want, but I think that it's going to have to be like that for like the next year or two. Like, I don't think you're going to see a packed out restaurant this year. I don't think so.
Of all the people that they're laying off because of that, 'cause all they need is cooks.
Yeah.
Cooks and a manager.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
It might be packed, but not to capacity anymore. Like Trav was saying, or you were saying, smaller seating areas. So maybe they can only seat a quarter of the restaurant now, opposed to the full amount. I can definitely see that, and definitely more takeout. That's gonna be a new thing.
and like talking about adapting or dying, there's restaurants that never got on Uber Eats or DoorDash.
True.
Yeah,
They're probably hurting right now.
for sure.
I'm sure they can still get government help from like the PPE and stuff. But
Man, that just blows my mind. Still, is the whole Uber Eats thing, and it's like you don't want to go eat out, but you're gonna put in an order to have a stranger deliver it to you, not knowing. I don't know. In my head, I'm like, there's a lot of hypocrites out there. Like, I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying that there's people who are out here. Oh, I'm not going outside the house, but I'm gonna call a stranger and have them deliver my food to.
Well, if you're really paranoid, there's the people. I mean, they expect that the restaurants are taking their precautions of wearing masks and gloves and whatever, and then they do have like a leave at the door option now, so they adapted.
Yeah.
And then the paranoid people will like come out there with gloves on themselves to get the box of food and wipe it off before they do anything. Yeah.
Well, that's what that's going on in my house right now.
Because I'm an alien, and that when they get
Ain't nothing wrong with
groceries,
that.
they
Ain't
get
nothing wrong with
groceries
that.
delivered, and they wipe everything down before they
Sanitize
take it.
Hey, better safe than sorry. I mean,
Yeah.
for all I know, y'all done killed it. Like, maybe it was gonna get in your house, but now it ain't. Y'all done got it.
And like, that's the thing. Like, I mean, it is to each his own, but that's stuff that's at first I was like, oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this. 'Cause my mom is like so nervous about it 'cause she's got respiratory issues. But when I thought about it, I was like, that makes sense. The grocery store is probably the worst place for it. And if I'm bringing all this crap from the grocery store and then setting it on my kitchen table and in my cabinets, and then I'm not, that's not putting me in a great position to be protected. So now I got to pull everything out and wipe it down before we do anything. But it gives my mom peace of mind, and that means more than anything. So takes me about 15 extra minutes to put my groceries away now, but it's all
They
good.
say gas stations are a big thing too, like gas pumps.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, dude, aside from Walmart's, or not even Walmart's, just aside from limiting my store trips in general, I try to stay away from gas stations.
Yeah.
Like, or walking into convenience stores or whatever. Hell, I think the only time through this whole thing I've walked in a convenience store was with y'all to get beer one time.
Yeah. For
I
sure.
went last night.
You just don't care. You ain't scared of nothing.
But I
COVID?
mean,
Who's COVID?
we could even see us go back to freaking gas pump attendants. Like not even have to get out of your car; they just come pump your gas.
Yeah.
For you,
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or you could
New
see.
Jersey's ahead of their time.
You know what I
I hate it. I hate getting gas in New Jersey. It's the worst.
Sir, get off the pump. Sir.
You know, it was a service that I heard about someone talking about, like, I don't know if it was Elon Musk, but they're thinking way down the future that you're not even going to have to leave your house, that someone's going to come to your house, put gas in your car for
I
you.
can see that.
And, like,
I
this.
mean, it's basically like getting like heating oil. They come to your house, fill up your tank, and roll.
Yeah. Which that could be a whole thing. You never know. You never know.
I mean, innovation, you know?
Yeah.
Out with the old, in with the new.
For sure. So I think, like, to wrap it up, well, the main point that we're trying to drive home here is that, like, try your best during this time. I know it's tough. Like, I'm struggling, but if you can try to have a positive mindset and then just think about it this way, if you can figure out your way to work through this time and come out better than you were, you can get through anything, because this is one of the toughest times we've experienced. Try to support local businesses because they're struggling right now. I know we say that every time, but we want to reiterate that, like, local food shops, anything that's a small business in your town, if it's still open, do your best to try to support them because they definitely need it. Thinking about you guys. It's another Side Dish Sunday.